how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm really excited because we're going to be taking a look at Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. If you guys are watching this video when it came out, I believe it's actually Halloween today. So happy Halloween, everybody. And this is one movie I knew I had to cover this year, and I'm glad I am, because this is actually the last Halloween movie I have to cover. I've actually finally completely covered a really long series, definitely a major goal of mine. But yeah, I talked about the past 9, I've talked about the Blumhouse movies, so here we are with the final one I need to talk about. This movie came out in 2009. It is written and directed by Rob Zombie. It's a sequel to his Remake, and stars Scout Taylor-Compton, Tyler Mane, Brad Dourif, Danielle Harris, and Malcom McDowell. But if you guys know Rob Zombie movies, there's a whole lot more familiar faces than that. Just to name a few, we of course get his wife Sherry Moon Zombie. We also get Octavia Spencer showing up for a little bit. That's cool. Margaret Kidder and Weird Al Yankovic, of all people. Quite the cast. Now, a lot of people, when they talk about this, you do get a few people that don't look at it too favorably. A lot of people hated the Rob Zombie remake, and when they talk about this, they say, oh, the remake was bad and part 2 was even worse. It's something I don't necessarily agree with. My thoughts on the first one, I thought it was good but really different. And I do get that we spent way too much time in the past with young Michael Myers. And I do get that when we got to the remake section, it stayed shockingly close to the original. But if you guys can just say it's an alternate universe movie, you do get some fun moments with a really big and scary and brutal Michael Myers, and you do get tons of Rob Zombie atmosphere. Now, I think I used to say that I liked his Halloween 2 a little bit better because it was a little more unpredictable, not being a straight remake of anything. After watching it this time, I'm not 100% sure if I still think that way. I still do like the movie, but yeah, I noticed its flaws a little bit more this time around. But that being said, it is something new and different. It deals with different themes and has quite the different atmosphere behind it. Some of the themes, we talk about grief a whole lot. This is Laurie struggling to recover after the events of the first film, and we do get to see how she's trying to move on and rebuild her life, how she's changed very much as a person, and how she still has a ton of unresolved issues. Now, Laurie, I will say, there are 2 different cuts of this movie, and in the director's cut, Laurie is definitely a lot more angry and aggressive. So if it gets too much for you, maybe check out the theatrical. I don't know. But we do get a lot of analysis of that, but we also get a heavy, dreamlike, and in some cases, surreal atmosphere. And it is new and interesting and different. It at times did get pushed too hard, but we do get things where Michael Myers is getting visions of his younger self and his mother, and that kind of makes the killer into a trio of killers, and using young Michael Myers as a mouthpiece, we can get through a lot of Michael Myers' thoughts. It's interesting, but again, something that plays its hand a little too strongly, but it is a cool visual of the 3 of them walking around, and it does tie it back into the first movie quite a bit. Now, Michael Myers' mother will often appear with a white horse, and the beginning of the movie will tell us that this is some sort of common dream motif and a metaphor for something. I never did quite get the white horse thing, but yeah, this is the movie where Michael Myers' mom shows up with the white horse all the time. Maybe the white horse is this universe's incarnation of Thorn. No, let's not go there. But anyway, Michael Myers in this movie is also kind of a different Michael Myers. He's still big and brooding, and he, much like in the first zombie movie, is one of the most brutal and terrifying Michael Myers. But we kind of get a sense of how Michael Myers survives on his own between the Halloween movies. This is savage woodland Michael Myers with the great big beard, and he has a hood on. He actually spends a lot of the movie without his mask and just puts it on for the killing. But it is kind of interesting to reinvent that design and still have it work, you know? And yeah, I think it is interesting to have a different version of him, because this is a version of him that's been on his own for quite some time. And yeah, I think it is interesting. That being said, they did at one point, someone rips at his mask and tears a big eye hole in it. Never a big fan of that 50-50 mask thing. I felt it was a little too on the nose, but hey, if you're collectors of all the different masks, Halloween 2 with the half face. But anyway, one of the other reasons why I say this movie isn't perfect, you know, again, they do play that dream hand pretty hard, but another reason is the atmosphere is really different, but the plot is really similar, because it is basically, we're still scared of Michael Myers, and then he's coming back on a trail of death towards us. Oh no, Michael Myers is back. It's not really the most different plot ever, it's just the fact that it pushes the atmosphere more, and I do wish there was something a little bit more going on with that, and I do wish the characters got together a little sooner, because Laurie, Michael, and Loomis kind of are in 3 different movies for a long period of time, and I do wish they collided much earlier than they did. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot and specifics in order to analyze this further. I won't be doing any major spoilers, but let's break some things down, look at it closer. I won't go towards the end or anything. Anyway, this movie picks up pretty closely to where the last one left off. We see Laurie Strode walking down the street in a state of shock. She's dazed and she's still holding the gun she shot Michael Myers with. Brad Dourif picks her up and takes her to the hospital. And there's actually a scene in this movie right at the beginning I really like, where the nurses are patching her up, and we do get some gory hospital moments, but I like that idea of, you survived a slasher movie, but this is how close it was. You survived, but you're not going to be spending a weekend at the beach anytime soon. It really hurt, and you got through by the skin of your teeth. I really like this brutal and honest approach to it, and also, we're at the hospital now. Think Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. But anyway, Michael Myers is of course going to escape. You get some corners driving him away. I think one of them is played by Richard Brake, who would appear in a later zombie movie, 31, where he had a really standout role. But the corners crash into a cow. Kind of a random thing, but I guess Michael Myers would have got up anyway later, so might as well have a big, fantastic crash. And Michael Myers crawls out of the van, supposedly the only one unharmed here, and finishes off the corners. Now this is one thing, like, it happened at the end of the original Halloween 2 as well, where Michael Myers gets shot in the face and just kind of walks it off later. Like, I don't know how this can happen. And the thing is, like, you don't see a big bullet hole or anything. Did Laurie completely miss? We never really saw where the shot went. But I would like if there was more of, like, you know, show a big scar on his head or something. But it is odd, like, does Michael Myers have a healing factor or something? He got shot in the head and then just a couple hours later he's up and at him and ready to walk around? Whatever. Sherry Moon Zombie and a white horse lead him away. And then we cut back to the hospital where Michael Myers is going to show up and wreak some havoc. Octavia Spencer is there as a nurse, and he's really plowing through people. And to be honest, it's a really fun, gory, threatening chase sequence, and it really is tight and cool, and the movie kicks off really, really well. And then it's all a dream. You know, the thing is, part of me goes, that was a fun nod to Halloween 2, the original, but at least we're going in our own direction. And I get that. I do like that it wasn't just another standard remake. At the same time, though, it was really good and really heating up and really going somewhere. It kind of sucks to cut it off. I kind of said with my last review of Rob Zombie's Halloween that it should have been Halloween Origins and then a second movie for Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween. And now that I watched this one again, there really should have been 4 Rob Zombie Halloweens. Origins, remake of 1, remake of 2, and then the rest of this movie should have been Halloween Aftermath. Whatever, the hospital was fun, but it got cut off prematurely. And I'm guessing that up until the point when Michael Myers shows up, that all this stuff really did happen. You know, she really did get picked up. We really did get to see Danielle Harris recovering in the hospital. And the van really did crash into a cow. I'm guessing it was mostly real up until the chase sequence. But anyway, we get to see the present. Laurie is living with the Brackets, which is cool. You know, getting to see her kind of rebuild her life after the death of her parents. She's in a new house. She's trying to move on. And she's there with Danielle Harris, who is another survivor as well. And you think that they would, you know, have something to bond over. And there are points where they're close, but there's also points where they're fighting, because in real life, nothing is perfect. And I really did like seeing her in her new situation. And I also do like her staying with the Brackets means a lot more of Danielle Harris and a lot more of Brad Dourif. So that is really fun as well. But yeah, we do get to see her trying to process, going to a therapist, and trying to just move on. You know, they never found his body, but Michael Myers has to be dead. I did shoot him in the head after all. And as I said earlier, with the 2 different cuts of this movie, the director's cut, which most people see because it's on home video predominantly, she does go a little bit far sometimes. The theatrical cut actually has this scene, I don't think it's in the director's cut, where she has like a little stuffed teddy bear that she's talking to, and she's like, "Don't worry about that mean Michael Myers, he's dead." I really like that scene. There's also a scene where the town sets up a petting zoo and there's a shot of her holding this little baby pig. I do like that dichotomy, you know, I'm struggling, but also trying to live a normal life, you know. So there is some interesting stuff. But Laurie is only 1/3 of the movie. We also get Dr. Loomis, and yeah, Loomis's third is probably the weakest. He was a little bit of a jerk in the first zombie movie, and they really do push that here. He's writing another book, talking about the events of Halloween 1. People are saying he's going too far and profiting from a tragedy, and Loomis is kind of struggling with the image of himself as perceived by the rest of the world and trying to be a different person. Sadly, though, being on a book tour isn't super scary, and that's most of what Loomis does, and he gets a lot of screen time in this movie. He eventually will show up and join the fight and try to redeem himself, but it's just a tiny little bit at the end. So yeah, I do wish Loomis was more the hunting Michael Myers Loomis, because what he's doing for most of this movie just makes him look bad, and it's also not super important to the plot in the long run. It is a bit of character work, but not in a direction I particularly cared for. The other third is Michael Myers. As I said earlier, he looks different, but he's still big and brutal, and you think that he would have made his way home a long time ago, but I don't know. He's like in a field and he's attacking random people, and then he goes to Rabbit in Red where his mother used to work, which I didn't know he would care so much so long later. It gives another sequence, but yeah, until he gets to where he's going, it is kind of Michael Myers just killing random people as he walks around. I will say though, the Rabbit in Red sequence, we did get the manager wanting to have sex with a Frankenstein mask on, and I will say, that's what a lot of us thought that Rob Zombie's Monsters would be. It wasn't though, but that's what we were thinking. So Michael Myers will eventually get there. We will eventually get all three together, but it really is a story about grief, a story about publicity, with Loomis going way too far, especially considering what's revealed in that book, and then Michael Myers attacking randos. And I do like, the trauma element with Laurie, the dream element with Michael is interesting, but it does take a long time for eventually Michael and Laurie to collide, and then eventually Loomis to finally join in. So it does take a while to get going, and there's not so much in the way of actual plot here, and some of the hands it plays, it does play them a little bit hard. Overall, I do like this movie, and I like that it was different, but there's no denying that some of the directions it goes a little too far. Overall, though, I still do like it. I liked his first one, I liked the second one, and I like that it was different. But yeah, not the best one ever, but not the worst one ever either. Again, better than Resurrection by far. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Halloween franchise playlist, where you can see me talk about all the other Halloween movies in this series that are out to date. So, all 10 of these, all 3 of the Blumhouse ones, lots and lots of stuff in there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Halloween playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.